Okay, so welcome to MetaTalk. Yeah. Today is August 7th, 2024.
Okay.
Where are we, Michael?
We're in what I call the sunset room of my house, sitting in chairs that I've never even sat in before. These were intended to be somewhere else, and they just kind of got put in the corner here. So the chair looks good now that there's people like in it. Yeah.
It's probably been lonely.
Yeah, the sunset room, this is actually the room that I meditate in a lot. This is one of my sculptures called A Bird in the Hand. I made that years and years ago. But when the light casts the shadow of the hands, it makes the shadow of a bird flying out of the cage. Mm-hmm.
I remember my first time at this house. This is the number one thing that caught my eye. Well, yeah. The room first, and then I gravitated towards this.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's get into it. I think let's just dive into things. Okay. We kind of both have an idea of what we want to talk about. And something that's been heavy on us because we are producing content ourselves is other metaphysical content, right? Yeah. What is out there? You know, we spent some time researching, looking up, what did you look up? Spirit guides. Mm-hmm. And just clicking on different videos, checking out the aesthetic, checking out the lighting. Mm-hmm. Are they too close to the camera? Are they too far? You know, and then what are they saying? So my questions today are more based on that end of what is the information that's being given out. So I do want to ask you, how does this social media era, this influencer era that we're in, affect metaphysics today?
So yeah, we did a lot of kind of visual homework about the metaphysical content scene, mm-hmm. because it really was new to me. And previous to this, the metaphysical content was way back in the 20s. It was people sitting around a table in a seance with some sort of mediumship, you know, false or not, that was happening. Houdini had a lot to say about that. Then where it came to my life, it was the era of tape cassettes and creative guidelines, which was in Don Weldon's house. And he made kind of a working residence out of it. He was kind of a leader in that development of the house as a workplace. And that was not a lot of reach. It was all word of mouth. Mm-hmm. You had to advertise with flyers. You had to advertise with word of mouth. You had to advertise in some sort of community bulletin board, mm-hmm. or print ad or yellow pages, which was the phone book at the time. And what that meant is that pretty much someone had to have a pretty strong intention in order to move forward with their projection of their metaphysical interests. Now, anybody, which I think is a blessing, can share their journey. And the thing is that you can have somebody with a high understanding and I'll call it a not high understanding, but they both enter the space at the same level because the broadcast platform is now, the playing field is even, as in the sense of YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's not even in the sense of how many people can help with lighting or camera or things like this, but everybody can come in with a running start that did not exist before. So there's a lot of room for kind of noisy interference. Now there's a lot of things to go through, whereas Don Weldon, when he was in Phoenix, Arizona, there probably wasn't a lot of other centers in Phoenix, Arizona, so it stood out.
Right.
And now, because not only around the world, but the algorithms are pushing people in front of others due to somebody understands them better. We have frankly not a great understanding of algorithms right now. Yeah. And it's all right. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it puts everybody in a mosh pit, and then somehow I think in the future it's going to get better and better sorted, that people will learn to discern very quickly, because this is a deeply personal content.
Yeah.
If you're in sports, it doesn't, but this is about shaping a person, their own spiritual understanding or desire, or it lands heavier.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is more the good side is the ability to put it out without there being that gap of
we're benefactors
us
of that.
To that. Yes. But the bad side also being anybody can. right?
Well, I think it's anybody's right to be able to do that. I think that it falls on the viewer to really figure out and just move away, program their algorithms to be like, don't recommend this channel. I do the remote clicking switch here. Don't recommend this, and take an active engagement, especially with something that's so personal. I really wish that YouTube had a way that just never presented a video to me again, because it'll keep feeding me the same damn thing. And I'm like, I didn't like it the first time. What makes you think I'm interested? Because another 5,000 people watched it. I'm no more interested in it now. I made my decision, and I can't. YouTube doesn't allow me to wash away things. If it does, I'm not skilled in that. So I'm much more aggressive in my content selection. Although I have kind of this, my personal pursuits, and then I have this viewership pursuit because I'm interested in the people who are really presenting well, and I want to learn from them. So it's a school for students and teachers at the same time, and the student can be the teacher and the teacher can be the student. So it's unique, but I'm excited about it. You have a chance to have a global voice from a dude's living room. I mean, come on.
We're gonna go into a topic, and I searched up abundance on YouTube. Not surprisingly, most of it was money-centric. So what does abundance mean to you?
Abundance for me in the physical is easily expressed in dollars, because dollars equals freedom. Dollars means that there's a beautiful mirror over your shoulder, that I could acquire that mirror and I could position it here and enjoy the beauty of that mirror, and that comes from dollars. But it's not the only way to acquire that mirror. There's another way to acquire that mirror, which is to attract it. That somebody, somehow, through the law of attraction, that mirror finds its way to me, whether I find it in a thrift store or somebody gifts it to me. There's other ways. And so abundance to me is an expression of the currency, kind of the, I'll beyond globalize, I'll say the universal currency to me is alignment and synchronicity. The thing is it's not always easy for me to recognize those alignments or synchronicities because they may not come in the flavors that I want. Remember I talked about that? It's like I had this idea when I was young, the perfect girl for me is
Yep.
da, 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 da.
Yep.
And I wasn't getting that coming to me. But the girl that was right for me was, at the time, maybe not on the menu that I had written.
Yeah.
So abundance is shifting for me. Money is a very expressive tool of abundance. It's like the result of what I want. I want money to be the result of these other laws. But for me, all these acquisitions are tools. It's not, I don't need to collect cars or to hold them, you know.
What are some perspective shifts or new practices that opened you up to the abundance available from the universe?
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion.
Yeah, I got tired. I busted my ass for 30 years.
So you think you hit like almost like a rock bottom type of point?
It wasn't, well, rock bottom, I just didn't physically have the energy that I used to have to dedicate. I fell in love with Katya. I wanted more time with her. I had larger objectives. I had time away from my business so I could detox from my attention addiction to my mold making businesses and the ones before that. And when Weldon started running that, I had a time to decompress. And when I had that time to decompress, I started doing a few things. One is I started a new venture, which wasn't at first spiritual centric. It was educational centric. And we're still doing that, but it took me a while to kind of curve out of that. And the practices that I started changing, your question was physically. One is I started changing my thoughts. And I started allowing myself to think recklessly, in the sense compared to all the responsible thoughts that I was taught to have as a businessman. And those, they're not reckless to me, but to someone else, this idea of Villa Oasis. And, you know, a lot, heavy dollars. And I was talking to Katya just yesterday, and something we circled back, and I said, you know, if you were talking to me when I was in the basement on the south side, in my shop, with no money, and I said, you know, there's gonna be a day when I have a large loft with a great group of people, and we're making art and we're making videos and this, oh, and by the way, I'm going to buy a really beautiful big house in the country, it would have sounded not so believable.
Yeah.
I decided, and that journey took time. That was from when I was 30 to when I'm, 48, when I was about 48 or something. 55, I had it for a while. And I realized that sitting on success has allowed me to push off of that with more confidence. You were a professional athlete, right? You knew that if you practiced and you had the results and people showed you those, you could do something else or try, I don't know, I'm guessing at rhythmic gymnast, I'm guessing. But it wasn't easy. But you built to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And now I'm looking to jump all the levels. Why not? There's people that jump off cliffs for F's sake. I mean, what are they thinking? So
I would.
I'm not risking my physical
Into
health.
water though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not built for that.
But you're saying you're not trying to like you're not trying to have this level of immediacy that we're like our culture is in right now.
No.
But you're taking where you are now and letting it catapult you.
I'm allowing myself to think differently.
Yeah.
And that thinking differently allowed me to get involved with the emotion code. It allowed me to really commit to some aspects of the law of attraction. And it also, I just stopped hiding my spiritual beliefs. That was a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Because if I was hiding, I didn't talk about it. Katya says, well, in Russia, because her friends are like, you're moving to California? Because at the party, I'm like, oh, we're moving to California. She's like, babe, we don't do that. You know, now everybody's asking me, how are you doing that? How are you doing that? And I'm like, look, just tell them it's going to be a big surprise. I said, because the how is not up to me. And she's like, we tell people we moved to California. That's the way we do it, because we don't want anybody to jinx it. And I said, well, that's coming from fear. That someone has power over you to jinx your plans or your ideas. I think that there is, if somebody is not strong enough, sharing something, a dream with somebody, they can diminish it with their negativity. But they didn't do it, it's that I allowed them to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm jinx-proof in that regard. There's nothing somebody could say to me that I can think of that would diminish my resolve to see this through, because I believe I'm using different laws. And I think that on the timeline that those are achieved, it will look like either I cheated or that, well, that only worked for him because ABC was in place. Well, yeah, it worked for me because that was my expression. That another person's expression will be different.
Yeah.
And my interest is different. If you describe your perfect house, it's probably a little different than Villa Oasis, right? It's okay, but that's your vision. Carry on, right? I mean, I'm just saying the differences are okay. Not everybody wants a Villa Oasis.
Yeah.
I do.
But it's possible to get your version, your vision.
Yeah.
And just
other people have.
Is,
Other people have.
Yeah.
That already exists.
Yeah.
That's why I was using YouTube as a tool. I'm just like, well, they did it. You know? If I think they cheated because they inherited that money, that's me creating a distance between, well, I can't do it because the only way to do it is inherit it. No, I'll find another way. And that's just a projection. I don't know their story.
Right.
So I've been giving a lot of invitations and a lot of permissions to some outrageous thinking. It feels kind of good.
I think it's paying off.
Well, my days, aside from the occasional blip, are very good.
Good.
I go like this.
Yeah, we always will, I think.
I think so.
But we're the ones that only know what's going on up here. And we are the ones that choose what comes in and out. And what we entertain longer than we should, or sure.
Oh, we're getting personal now. Oh, let's see a little historical documentation
no.
coming forward. No, what comes in and out is very difficult to control, because I can say a word to you or something, and it may hit you harder than you want it to hit you, because there's this other stuff that you've been conditioned for, right?
It attaches to something more. It's not just
It hooks in. It hooks in deeper.
But it's my responsibility.
It is.
To kind of work on that. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. But the thing is when they're little secret landmines,
Yeah.
it's somebody could say something critical about me. One person would say exactly the same thing. It doesn't hurt from this person, but it hurts from this person.
Yeah.
So it's the translation and the permissions that I've given this person to somehow sit deeper in me. And that's just life. I do that. I allow certain vulnerabilities with certain people and others not. And I close other vulnerabilities. I'm getting better at that.
Can you explain that a little bit?
I'll let somebody or something get under my skin.
So you're learning how to.
Yeah, it's the thing we were talking about the other day with I could have 10 really good things happen and one bad thing happen.
Yeah.
And my attention goes to the one bad thing.
Yes.
And this morning I was talking to Balin and I'm like, or Jason. Sorry, I got some key guys I talked to in the day. And I was like, son of a. I now understand the beauty of trophies. I used to think trophies were kind of this little arrogant thing. And now I'm like, wait a minute. That trophy is reminding me, all the hard stuff, that reminds me of a beautiful moment. And it creates another set point for me. That trophy is not something that I was better than someone else. That trophy, if that's something else. That's something else. I'm talking about a trophy for me would be a reminder to say, remember this. This is why Katya loves to take pictures. She's always saying, take the picture, take our picture, take our picture.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got enough, babe.
Yeah.
And for her, that's how she'll remember. This was a beautiful, flavorful moment.
Yeah. How she felt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I agree because I'll look at pictures that I forgot we had and I'm like, oh, I don't remember that. That was wonderful. Because I've let all this other stuff creep. A certain type of trophy is a reminder, and that's what I mean by letting it sink in, because sometimes I'll just let that other stuff just gnaw at me. And I gotta figure out ways to not let it create a vortex, of repetition. And the repetition goes to the subconscious, and so I interrupt it. And I'm finding ways to interrupt that. It's not easy, but I'm finding ways.
How can you discern and identify between authentic content and spiritual entertainment?
So I think that if something feels right for you, it feels right for you. Myself, yeah. Myself, I look to somebody voicing extremes. I have kind of a high bar of credibility that I look to. I put that on others because I've seen. I'm 30 years older than you, right? I've had a lot more kind of seeing things. So. Yeah. In the sense of what I like. I've had 30 more years of opinion forming, which is also what makes an older person seem rigid. But it's just that I kind of put things in a certain place already. The thing is I now am experiencing clickbait. It's very yummy. It's like trying to order dessert first on the menu at the restaurant. And if I'm really hungry, clickbait will impact me because I'll be drawn to it. And so what I did is I just recognized this is clickbait. This is somebody leading with an extreme. And if somebody leads with an extreme, I don't really partake in it.
Yeah,
so I'm looking for
yourself.
A chill vibe. Enthusiastic is fine with me.
Yeah.
But just
passionate.
And I don't like watching performers. I like watching people who are mindful of how they present, but performing is different. It's what we call too much beautiful, Katya and I joke about.
Nice way to put it.
I take out the too much beautiful, I take out the extremes, and yet I leave room to be curious about something that pushes my envelope, because I've noticed that there are extreme presenters that have some good content that's just hard for me to listen to, but may not be hard for somebody else. I enjoy listening to older people, actually, because I feel that they are in the less I need to prove something, they're less that they're in the race differently. There's an establishment. And to that point, something else that I noticed the internet leans imbalance for is one-trick ponies. I'll see the people that are talking about one thing, and then I look to learn something else about them, and there's no other thing. So I don't have a lot of context to. If you look at a good actor in Hollywood, they have many different movies they've been in, if they're fortunate, many different genres, many different ways to express. Now, they're all acting, But in business, I also like diverse backgrounds. This person was involved with horses, and now they somehow migrated into, I don't know, fashion. I mean, it just says they've seen many different things. So I look for it to not be shallow for very long. I'm willing to give some attention to somebody who's new, understanding that I have 30 more years of doing than others, and there's others that have 30 more years of doing than I do. The trouble is people my age and above typically don't know how to use the technology that's available, so those messages that are gold fall silent.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that. Well, Villa Oasis.
Yeah.
That's what that's all about.
We're going to be the ones that catch that gold.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
There'll be others, but hopefully.
I do have performative, right? Like performative spiritual entertainment, where a person's display of awareness or activism is more about appearance or social gain than genuine belief or commitment.
Well,
so
appearance matters.
But how do we discern, and like how would you suggest avoiding falling into that? I feel like there are people who have a hunger for spiritual development and know that there's something greater, and they're searching and they're seeking. How do we avoid going down towards something that might not be for us, right? There could be something there for us, like you were saying.
I think there's always something there for us, whether it's a decision to pass on it, and a recognition of that is either not something that I believe or that I'm curious in at this time, or that I've tried that and I moved on. But I also think that if somebody is only on the internet, that is maybe not a great way. The thing about metaphysics is that it's a difficult topic to talk about publicly. So somebody in a circle, I would say you've probably experienced this. You have a circle of friends that you love and adore, but there's some topics that just go in as science fiction crazy talk. And so unless somebody's on the same journey of discovery, it's a guarded conversation. I noticed when I talked to Kay, when he sat across me from the camera the other day, I immediately felt tighter because I wanted to respect his Muslim background, and I was really surprised, but I also felt that.
Yeah.
So you love to read, and a lot of other people love to read. So when there's a book, it allows this focused, I feel like if somebody's spiritual journey is dictated by their ADHD, the need to change the channel, that's what's going to be the result, is a spotty understanding. But when somebody digs into a book, right, they're kind of committing to at least a chapter.
Yeah.
And then it creates a dialogue because there's probably a lot of other people that have read that book, and there's probably some dialogue about it, so it's kind of pre-tribe formation there. If somebody else has read the book, you can connect with them immediately. So books are still really valuable.
Really valuable.
Yeah, but I personally don't even give time to books like I used to. Part because of my visual impairment, it's difficult for me to see things as easily.
Yeah.
And partly because I am only reading at times of the day that I'm very tired. I don't make a space for it, because I got all these to-do lists and all these businesses, and I make excuses.
Yeah.
I'm remedying that.
How would you suggest avoiding or even knowing when to dismiss the performative entertainment?
Well, we're performing, aren't we? I mean, I don't wear makeup, and Katya put makeup on me because I have red skin. So there's a level of performance that is about presentation awareness.
Presentation.
Right.
But we're not here to gain social status. Yes, we are very attentive to our setting and how things are set up, and that's fine, but that's not what's driving us. What's driving us is the people on the other end of this, right? Connecting to them, finding people to inspire in wherever they are in their spiritual walk.
I feel like there's a part of what we're doing with all the platforms that aren't yet released that is for this generation, and there's a part that's for another generation that I'm just playing a part in. Look at Skip with the book library that we're collecting. Depends on the timeline. So what timeline? I think that all of the performers won't make it past a few. The timeline for them is short. It's like a firework. It goes off, and then And then when there's not another firework, it's like, where is it? And I'm interested in something that has a longer life cycle. From the performance aspect, I think that, so longevity will matter, but I also think that if somebody is leading with a sell, now there's nothing wrong with selling something. Authors sell things, musicians sell things. Well, they don't have as much to sell these days, that's unfortunate. But the sell, I needed to pay for these lights and this camera and your time and Pasha's time, and so selling is important, but if it's the primary objective to make a business model out of spirituality, that's tricky. And there's a lot of organizations that do that.
Yeah.
They have to. They have a lot of operation costs, but it tips. It tips. So overperforming, overselling, clickbaiting, and a short timeline that they don't seem to have any depth, that or they're only recycling something that they just saw. It's reaction video aspect. We just started doing reaction videos, and it's recycled content, but now the reaction videos are reacting to the reactors. It's like this self-feeding. Where's the new stuff coming from? And I think that the new stuff can be the really old stuff. Because there was a time when information, and I'm referencing Don Weldon's collection, there was a time when that information couldn't escape a certain geographic location.
Yeah.
The postal service, the neighborhoods, the word of mouth. And now it can. And I think that that bringing forth the old stuff, this is why I'm trying to preserve books that are out of print or soon to be out of print. And this is why we're digitizing.
Yep.
Not for any, I don't want to be a bookseller. I just don't want to see things go away.
Yeah.
And they could be books that I'm not even interested in, but I leave enough space for it could be interesting to somebody.
Yeah.
And you're working with Fran, who is going through this book collection. And what's beautiful about your communication with Fran is that I think people need like summaries before they decide to buy into a book these days.
Always.
It's like, tell me where I'm going.
What's it going to provide for me? What's it going to teach me? There always has to be something, a taste before.
Yeah. Performance matters. It does.
I have a hard time with that word. Presentation matters.
Okay.
Performance to me is really like I'm forcing something. I don't know why I have a problem with that word right now.
It's okay. I'll go either way with it. Presentation.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying. But I'm saying our heart in this is not for any other reason. So kind of since we're on, setting, lighting, and the performance aspect, the presentation aspect of content, how do you think that affects the viewer? When we were going through some of these videos, I think for both of us, it bothered us when someone was like this close in the screen. It was like their face.
There was a lot of things that I've become fatigued with on the internet, and that way too close stuff from the news when they started doing Zoom interviews and they're speaking to a real intellectual person and they're like this. I'm like, easy tiger, easy tiger, easy tiger. And that has nothing to do with spirituality. That just has to do with what I think is a presentation trend that will pass. And the internet is so freaking new that it hasn't gone through fashion cycles the way other things have. And so that to me, I mean, my TV is giant in the living room. So someone's like normal is now, and it's just, again, too much beautiful.
Yeah.
Same thing. Even on the phone, I think it's just, this is why we always try to film with depth. Even when it's not perfect. I know it's going to be overexposed, but I like showing volume. I believe it adds to the narrative. It allows a person to decide where they want to focus. When somebody gets this close on me, I feel force-fed. Yeah. Or force-eyed. Like I'm supposed to.
I'm not. I think my listening isn't.
And if something's wrong with their face, like they got spinach in their tooth, I'm like, spinach.
Then you're focused on that.
Did you ever see Austin Powers? Mole, mole, mole.
Jolly good work.
Yes, nice to mole you. Meet you. Nice to meet you, mole. Don't say mole.
Stop.
I said mole.
Stop.
Bye. Mole. Mole. Mole.
Oh, shut up!
Mole, 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 mole.
Oh my God, I'm too old for this.
I know what you're talking about. It's silly, right?
Mole. Yeah, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And it's silly, but it's real.
Yeah.
People are gonna, we're on camera, we're targets, right? We are. We're
Right. Anyway, yeah. If you get in front of a camera, you're opening that
opinion
up,
target.
that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. And that's kind of what we're doing. But I'm realizing even from watching, it can affect my desire to listen or watch the video. So I think it's important. I think aesthetic is important. I think if you're thinking about how the viewer sees things, how they hear things, that's the better approach.
Well, it's a great irony because the spirituality is not the physical. So I believe that there is kind of this idea to reset. This materialism as being hypervalued has to reset. And there's the gateway to that is listening to people talk and quality presentations. And this is why when somebody sees somebody that's maybe well-dressed or well-spoken, the actors, right? People like want to know about their life because they think if they look good and they sound good, that their life is good.
Right.
There's this volunteer power dumping into something. And so I feel like there's a necessity in that, but it won't be there long. I think that we're really accelerating with the presentation of spirituality and that there's more and more people that are coming forth with stronger connections because they're being born into this. They're already starting with a higher vibration coming in. And so I'm okay with seeing younger and younger people show up that aren't skilled with these other things. But something will come through, some sincerity, I think I'll pick up on. But I'll give it the chance,
You did sort of bring up clickbait already.
Yeah.
A common thread, a lot of this content I've observed is these promises are being made. Either through the title used as clickbait, this will change your life type of stuff. And even at the beginning of videos, some of them that I've watched and I've observed, it's a lot of promises being made that I don't necessarily
I have thoughts pouring
agree with. So I want to ask you, what do you think about this?
I think the internet is not full of accountability. And I don't think there's a lot of place on the internet for accountability because everything's out of context. At work, you have accountability because you're there. If you don't get your stuff done, you're accountable for it and this and that. Either you volunteer to be accountable for it because you care, or someone's exerted that on you. It's like, hey, you got to finish that gear so it can go in the car, And on the internet, no, the accountability is gone. It's flashes. But I think accountability, people are looking for authenticity and accountability. And this is why I decided to take a year to lay down this foundation of business credibility and stories and expressing different aspects of myself, going to art school, getting crushed in business, all these other things. I thought that at some point they may make a difference. Now, part of it was me just getting used to the camera, and I look back and I go, oh, well, hey, it is what it is. But I don't like to make a promise. I like to share what's happened to me. How you make somebody accountable on the internet is just by not going back after there's been a letdown. I think accountability and credibility go very close. I'll just leave it at that. I got to think about that.
You brought up your own experiences, right?
Yeah.
Kind of one of my questions was going to be, what would you say is the difference between us and others already out there? And I think you already just answered it.
There's a lot of people that know about them and very few people that know about us. aside from the score.
We're here. So one of the church environments I go to, once in a while, if someone has a testimony, they will go up on stage and share before a sermon. And of course, it's voluntary. If they want to, they let somebody know and they make time for it. I think it's beautiful because sometimes someone needs a reminder of faith, right? Someone might be really low on their faith or who knows what in that room, and that testimony can provide something, right? And it just can show that God is still working for you. It's things might be bad right now, but there are good things that have happened and there are good things to come. But metaphysical content, I didn't notice much personal experience being shared or testimonies in some of these videos. It's more of teaching and instructing. And do you think testimonies and personal spiritual experiences can be a valuable asset to content, to connect with others out there?
So two things. When you're talking about the church experience of testimony, I was like, well, that's the internet. Everybody wants, not everybody, that's globalization. A lot of people want to be seen and to matter because they haven't gotten that validation in other ways, a healthy balance. That was my childhood. I didn't have a healthy balance of that. And so I feel like that's happening a lot. When you talk about wanting a platform for a spiritual discovery or spiritual expression, I think what you just said is very important. It's like that goes back to where's the depth. That somebody who is very good at vocalizing something can have read 6 books and then all of a sudden they're like the teacher of those 6 books and it may be okay, but that's just not, that's the firework. That message may hit 2 or 3 people that never heard that before, and it was valuable for those 2 or 3 people. So I'll say, go for it. If somebody is a very skilled communicator, translate. Be a translator for that, consolidate that information, and maybe they're a spark. Maybe they're a spark because somebody identifies with their genre. Maybe they're from a certain place in the world. Maybe they're identify as a certain way that allows someone to give permission for them to be influential and the message matters. So there is an importance there. The overarching part that I think you're talking about, that I was kind of being gentle around, is what about the people who have nothing to say but think they do have something to say? That's a rough way. No?
No, I don't think so, because I'm referring to, you share a lot of your own experiences, right? And even once we dive into creative guidelines and your experience there, bringing your own spiritual experiences to help nurture that content. And that's how I'm kind of tying in the testimonies at church thing, is that not a lot of people are, you can teach, but like, tell me something that's happened to you.
I totally missed the mark because I thought you were saying that on the internet there is somebody who is not a gardener, but they've read a book about gardening and now they're talking about gardening.
Well, we have that too.
Okay, I thought that's what you're talking about, meaning nothing to say. It's like, well, the author said that.
Yeah.
Celebrate the author's journey. Act as a proper representative of that information, not the owner of that information. And I strive to take the time to create this texture around the story from my past and my experiences. But I also am currently striving to talk about all the things on my journey, because my preference in this life is to kind of catch what as it unfolds. I see the guys in the robes and the beards and all this stuff, and they say these amazing things. But I'm like, where were you before you could grow a beard? Well, let me see that, robes, always, because there's a gap in that story. And I like to shine lights on gaps and to say that in another video we said, why are only billionaires credible? Nobody's interested in really the billionaire's journey until they already made it.
Right.
Because it's like, I'm not bothering with that. You show me you did it, and then I'll come a-looking. I'm just interested in a different thing. I don't see a lot of it on the internet. Just because I don't see it on the internet doesn't mean it's there. It's these freaking algorithms. I can only get to what's put to me. I wish there was the algorithm where I type into AI, and I'm like, I could do the same for YouTube and write out the very specific thing of what I'm looking for. Not just a word search. Car crashes, fashion models, cooking, and then it just throws everything in there. It doesn't sort well-produced videos about cooking somebody cooking that has 25 years of cooking, it doesn't give me that option.
Yeah.
So I got to go through all this crap. That's because the internet's young and Google doesn't care. They'll sell.
They will sell.
Yeah. So
Yeah, when we were looking up shapeshifters, we're trying to get to our YouTube.
it was hard to find ourselves. I'm like, I'm typing this damn thing in.
Oh, man.
It's crazy. It's what it is. So Jana, as always, we wander around, but the things that I think I want to come through, regardless of the answers and whether someone believes that there's merit in the answers, is that we're two people on a sincere journey. And although it's a filmed and edited journey, that I'm as curious to see how it unfolds as it, because I don't have the script. You wrote some notes today, but it's not a script.
Right.
And I'm really curious what 5 years from now looks like compared to this moment, because my hope is that it's drastic. I would love to have an example of that garden. It's like you plant the garden and you move your house and the other person does their part to tend the garden, and then, but ultimately someone inherits a beautiful garden.
Yeah.
And I feel that this is part of what I want to show, is this beautiful garden, and that it doesn't necessarily take that timeline of generations, that there is ways to express beautiful moments and to share them. And what would be like the overarching amazing dream is that somehow in the next 10 years, algorithms are not based on sales. They're based on the quality of the content and the preferences a person puts in.
Yeah. That's a goal.
Yeah, don't know how they'll do it. So, YouTube,
Are you listening?
do you care?
Do you care?
Jana wants you to care.
Like, I know we look good, but I don't have
Wow.
I don't have my life together.
I'm 27.
Oh, I'm saying,
On a bad day, I
like
look
we look
good.
we look
What
like
was
we might have
that?
our stuff together, but I'm just saying I don't. Just to throw that out
Zinger.
there and be 100%. Okay.
Own it.
Yep.
Make me love it, make me hate it.
So, okay.
I don't know. Puts a lot of pressure for somebody to be perfect, but
Yeah.
recycled content, right, it's very, I'm a little scrambled because I'm thinking of three things at once. I was thinking about how I hold somebody accountable on the internet. And when I'm tired at night surfing, I don't do that. I just click past.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was crap, maybe. Joe Rogan, there's good episodes and there's crap episodes. but I'll drop in and see stuff. I've never watched a whole show of his. I just go with some sound bites because I don't.
They're really long.
I have a visual filter, on him that's tough for me. you know. So